Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody, and welcome. Today I have a special guest with me. Well, actually, two special guests because I love my Susan Lynn. But Susan and I are here today with Valerie, who is going to talk about her near-death experience. We asked people several weeks ago if there was anyone who wanted to share their story, and Valerie has been so kind as to let us know that she would. We tried to tape this before. It didn't work out so well, but we always know that spirit is the one that tells us what to do. So that's why we're back, and we all figured out a time to be here. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Valerie.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Nice
Thank
to see you, ladies.
Thank
Good to
you.
see
We're
you
pleased to
too.
have you. Yeah.
I'm even
So
more
Val,
excited because I know Valerie's story.
I
I
know.
know,
The first
I
time I
know.
didn't know, but now I know. You guys are in for a treat. I mean, a treat. So, like I always say, get the popcorn, get ready. Now's your time to get comfy because you're not going to want to leave the screen.
No.
So Valerie, I think I'd like to start out with you talking about, um, I guess it was a teenage time for you, and you were quite a rebel. So
Yeah.
bring us into that first. Okay.
Yeah, I was quite a partier. It was probably the late. I was 19. I'm 60 now, just so we have a clear time frame. Um, I partied a lot. As one night, actually had a fight with a boyfriend, and he dropped off these pills. I thought they were the same pills I had taken before. They weren't. They were 3 times stronger. I Next thing I know, I'm calling a cab, which I never did, to my friend's house, who was just really an acquaintance. Was very random for me. I get to her house. Her mom is a nurse just getting off of work, and I guess this is when I started to. She saw I was in a bad way and was trying to revive me and calling the ambulance. And the next thing I know, well, I'm in this white bright fog for a very long time, and I'm cussing up a storm. I'm thinking I lost myself. I was out and about, and I somehow can't find my way out of it. And the more I'm going, and it just seemed like for days. And the more I'm going, I start to realize that I am in a different place, but I'm not like at that point yet because I'm very angry. I was a very angry person. I partied a lot to calm myself down. I had experienced a lot of trauma young, and sexual abuse and physical, mental, verbal. So anyway, here I am, and I'm just where am I? Where am I? Why can't I figure out where I am? And the next thing I know, after this long time there, uh, I hear my nanny who has passed, and she only says, "It's okay," or "You're okay." And it felt like if I lifted my hand up, like she was putting her hand down for me to grab it. And as the moment I was about to do that, it enters into my head, well, wait a minute, you're dead. And that's when I'm back, like I'm floating over my body in a hospital setting. I can see people really working on me and uh,
So let
trying
me
to
interrupt you.
revive me.
Hold on just a
Sure.
second. Were you going to say something, Allie? No, I just want to say that I know that you just described. So I'm going to recap really briefly. You had a fight with your boyfriend. He dropped off some pills which you thought you've taken before. You
Mhm,
took them. The
mhm.
next thing you did, which was uncharacteristic for you, was you took a cab to a
Yes,
acquaintance's house that you're not even sure why you would never take a cab normally. You would just drive, right? You had a car.
exactly.
And but it turns out that you were literally out of it. Like you were literally you didn't have any memory of really arriving. the time leaving your house to getting to this acquaintance's house. When you got to the acquaintance's house, do you even remember falling down? Do you ever even remember like?
I honestly don't remember any of it. I I vaguely remember making a phone call to the cab company. There was no one home at my house, which was unusual. Usually there was a lot. I had two brothers, and there was a lot of their friends, my friends, everybody home there, Um, a- and I would have driven. This is the worst part. I would have driven even no matter what state I was in, but obviously I came to that conclusion that I couldn't even drive, so I took a
Or
cab or
or
I
your
called a cab.
guides. At what point were your guides involved saying, okay, she's not thinking, we can guide her to
Yes,
make a call to the cab, and now we're going to guide her to go to this friend's house who just happens to have a mother who's a nurse.
exactly. Yeah.
So the nurse is calling 911, but you have no idea.
No.
Meanwhile, you're out of your body, and you popped out of your body, and you're in this foggy place, and in your consciousness you're just thinking, oh, I must have left my house and I'm lost. You think
Yes.
you're alive. I mean, you're like, I just left my house and now I'm lost, and I don't have a cab and I don't have a car, and you're mad. So you're cussing and you're like, this is ridiculous, right? You're just angry. So then you were kind of walking around in the fog for a while. You thought it was a long time. And then I remember you saying before that you stopped because you were like, wait a minute, just wait a minute. Let me get my bearings. And then
Right.
when you stopped, that's when your nanny, who's your grandmother, right? Your grandmother reached down, or you had a sense of knowing that if you simply reached your hand up, she would be there and she would take your hand. But that's when you snapped and you went, wait, you're dead. Meaning nanny's, my
Yeah.
grandmother's dead, and she can talk to me and see me. So what does that mean for me? And then when you had that thought, boom, you're in your body, right?
Yeah.
Or no, you were above your body.
I was above my body.
Then
Yeah.
you went to above. So there we are. So now you're back, because I just wanted people to make sure that how that all made sense. So now you're above your body and you're watching all of these people work on you. And you were doing that for quite a while, I think I remember you said, like 10
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah. I would say 10 to 20 minutes I was watching them because I actually thought it was cool to be. I'm looking down, I'm looking up. The ceiling's right next to me, and I'm looking down, and I didn't know at first it was me I was looking at either. This is how out of it I was. I realized it after a few minutes, I would assume. But yeah, they were really, using the paddles and the breathing bag, and they were really working on me. And I just thought it was a cool situation to be looking at it from that vantage point at that time. Yeah.
And you said it's just like you could see them talking to each other, and you
Mhm.
could see like the anxiety or the nerve, like they were really working
Oh
hard.
yeah, it was full on, like, helping someone to come back to, because once I saw the paddles in the bag, I realized, um, this person, myself, something is really gone wrong. But I still was not even concerned about that. I just thought it was a cool position I was viewing it in. And as soon as I thought, oh, I had a thought. I realized it was me. I don't know how, but I thought something, and I was in my body, and it was a very harsh landing. It wasn't. It was like, I was being squeezed back in, and that was very uncomfortable. That part. I can't remember what triggered it.
Well, it's probably your recognition that you were that, and why am I here?
Yeah.
And so, but we're such big souls that to take that and put it back into this tiny little body. Plus, you were not well. I mean, they were working on you. And
Yeah.
so I imagine that the boom back into the body was quite a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it felt. Like you just
Mhm.
did. Boom.
Yep.
and it was jarring and
Right.
shocking. And I could tell that they stopped working on me at that point. I
Hmm.
I was breathing on my own,
Hmm.
and my heart rate was going on my own, and even that's very vague. Uh, the next thing I remember after that is going into a room, a hospital room, and my mom's in there, and it's a lot of commotion in the hospital. But
Yeah.
I knew a psychiatrist was coming, and I knew at that time during those years, uh, anybody who they thought I had tried to kill myself. Well, when the psychiatrist comes in, she asked me straight up, "Why did you try to kill yourself?" And I told her, "No, I was just trying to get high." And I don't know what went wrong. I didn't know at that point what that the
Yeah.
ones I took were stronger than the ones I was normally took. And but I had to talk with my mom before this lady came in, and I was, "Don't you lock me up in here? Don't let them lock me in here." Um, I was,
In
like
the
I said, I
psych
was
ward?
angry.
In the psych ward?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
psych ward, I was angry, and I didn't trust anyone to begin with. And I had said, my mother obviously knew I was angry and I had a drug issue, and uh, I told her I would never speak to her again. So she didn't. She didn't put me in there.
Mhm.
I guess she could have signed me, and even though I was 19, but that was
Awesome.
a big fear of mine. That was like my biggest fear. It wasn't was how I got here. I didn't even ask that question. I was just like, it was an accident. When the lady asked, I had to say it was an accidental overdose because I wasn't trying to kill myself. I was angry, but I wasn't. Um, and I was self-destructive, but I
Hmm.
wasn't suicidal at
Right.
all. I was just trying to party, you know.
Right. So you didn't tell your mom though about what had happened to you
Not at that
until much
moment.
later, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Meaning the
How
near
much?
death experience.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, that was about 2 years later because I was still engaging in these behaviors. Now I was a little bit more cautious
I hope so.
and checking what I was taking and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
But I still was a partier. I worked in restaurants and bars, and it's just kind of part of the lifestyle for some of us, I should say, not everybody. But yeah, she was kind of frustrated with me, and a couple years later, she's like, "What is wrong with you? You almost died.
Yeah.
What are Why are you still behaving in the same way you were?" And that's when I told her about um, seeing my nanny and what I experienced. I wasn't about to say anything at that time because in my mind, I would have been put on the psych ward. So I
Right.
was.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
They didn't want to hear any of this. You've been
Right.
here, yeah, near death experience. They don't want to. I didn't even know that's what it was called. I didn't know. Um,
Wasn't out there really. We didn't hear much about it
no,
during that time.
no,
But the really cool thing is that you did end up living in an area where the Association for Research and Enlightenment
yeah.
is Edgar
Yeah.
Casey. And at some point, what point did you begin to start searching out more information?
Well, I've always been
Always.
interested in this, and I
Okay.
always felt like I knew stuff. As a kid, I knew things, and I could tell around me that everybody was lying, the adults were lying, and I knew it, and I would um, try to call them out at first, or in a nice way as a kid,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
to be shut down and told to shut up, and that kind of was more of a catalyst to, on top of the abuse, I wasn't listened to or taken seriously. So I kept that to myself. I have to say this: a lot of partying I did experience some interesting realms,
I
and
bet you
that
did.
was, I got to say that, and in a way, that was kind of a draw
Mhm.
to it because I was not only doing it during partying, we were always in these psychic places and going to readers and just
Okay. You had
that
a
whole
thirst
vibe.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was always
Uh-huh.
like that. And then when I moved here, where at your Casey is, I would go there and go read his books, read some of his readings, talk. And
Yeah.
there's like different classes they have there, different things going on. Uh, but I worked a lot, so I really didn't have a lot of time to really investigate as much as I should have. I should have put more time in it, but I'm not like one of those people either. You should have, could have. You're on your path.
Yeah. Yeah.
You end
Yeah.
up where you end
No
up.
regrets. Yeah.
Yeah.
No regrets.
So I'd
Mhm.
say though, once I had my children, is when I
Right.
really kind of
Okay.
grew
So
up.
I want to get into that, the miracles of having those children, but
Yeah.
I'd like first for Susan to offer what she saw from your
Mm.
grandmother's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw you in that, it's two things that are interesting to me about what happened for you was that I often, when I'm crossing, this is a little bit different, but I do see people that have crossed over. They come through a veil like that. It's like they come through a fog, and sometimes they come from above. Like, for instance, when I'm crossing over a ghost, an earthbound spirit, I will call the other side, and maybe it's their grandmother, right? And their grandmother comes down with this hand, it's taken, and they'll go back up. So it's exactly what I see
Wow.
when I'm interacting with that situation. But also, your grandmother was saying to me that she's showing me, I guess this will make sense to people. Do you know when you're in like bleachers at a football game and you're walking and they're down below, people are walking down below and you're leaning over, right?
Yeah.
And you're like shouting their name or whatever, good game. Well, that's her. She's running along this elevated corridor looking at you, trying to get your attention. Of course, you're not even aware that you're there. You're thinking, honestly, you might even be thinking that you were on some street somewhere and you were lost.
Yeah.
You thought you were on this plane of existence, but you were on a different plane of existence. And so she was trying to get your attention. And finally, when you stopped, when you said you were walking around, you were cussing, you were upset, when you stopped to think, that's when she got your attention. That's when she put her hand down and said your name, and you looked up. And the interesting thing is, as soon as you saw her, something in your brain went, uh-oh, uh-oh, that she's dead. So I don't want to go there. And what's beautiful about it is when you thought the thought, boom, you left.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Consciousness does everything. As soon as you had that thought, you were then hugging the ceiling of the ER.
Yeah.
And then once again, when you saw that it was you, boom, you were back in your body. So two times, right? When your consciousness was engaged, you connected right back to this plane of existence.
And it's fascinating. I never thought of it like that.
And I love the idea of how big you were, right? How big you were.
Yes.
And then you had to, like Ali said, we are consciousness. And then you had to become this little tiny human being.
Yeah, you do. And it is kind of a harsh landing, like I said. And at that moment, it's like it all happened so fast. But I just realized once I get in my body, how much love and peace was where I was.
Wow.
And that contrast too, you just really notice you were in a different place, and it was really nice. If I would have just been calm. No, I didn't.
Yeah, and people say that. They say, many of them say, I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to come back. And when I got in my body, I was in pain, or I didn't feel good, or I was not light anymore. And, and a lot of people choose not to come back because of that.
Yeah.
But, at 19, you'd want your life to be a bit more, have a bit more.
And I really didn't even, it wasn't even a thing for me. I didn't care. I honestly didn't think I'd be here past 21. That was another thing. I just and I thought that most of my young childhood,
Oh,
and
oh,
I don't know why, but I think that was the wake up call. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you want to be here, or what are you
Or
doing?
do you not want to
Where
be
you
here?
could
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, oh yeah. Very big message. And being at that age, you said you continued to do it, but you still had that burning in there, and that was going to make a big difference for you, I think. So what you told us before was that you were told earlier for some reason that you weren't going to be able to have any children in this lifetime.
Right. It was about the same
And
time.
yeah, and
Hmm.
so one day, what happened?
One day I'm 30 years old and I'm going to work, and for some reason the work was closed down by the IRS. I mean, I'd worked there 2 years and I guess they didn't pay their taxes. So I said, I've not been feeling well. I should go to the doctor. So I go, and first thing they do is give me a pregnancy test. And I keep trying to tell them, I've been told I can't get pregnant. That's ridiculous. Oh, let's do this first. So anyway, I get a phone call saying I am pregnant.
Oh my.
And I'm like, okay, I didn't live my life I never thought I'd be a good mom. I never even entered my awareness because I was told I couldn't. Um, Again, I'm a bartender. I'm working in that field. Well, I'm not working anymore. So I, I start taking care of myself, and uh, they watch me like a hawk with him because they were afraid he'd be premature. He comes the day they said, 7 pounds, 12 ounces, healthy. So I'm like, okay. I go to my 6 week checkup for that, and they tell me I'm pregnant. And I'm like, but this can't be happening. This was a miracle. Am I have two miracles? Oh my goodness. I wasn't, I wasn't even used to having a baby at that point. I loved him more than anything, which was, when people tell you that, you'll never understand the love you feel until you have a child, mother child love or parent child love. And that's a true thing. So anyway, my 6 week checkup, I'm
Oh
told
my
I'm
gosh.
pregnant again. And he comes early. He was 23 weeks and 4 days, and we're normally pregnant 40 weeks.
Wow.
And he's a tiny 1 pound, 6 ounces, and they keep telling me he's gonna die. Give him a name. And I'm like, he's not going to die. I knew he wasn't going to die. I knew that, and I just knew. I don't know how to explain that. But that's how my guidance worked with me. I would know things. I wouldn't know how. I'm sure we all been there. And anyway, it was a long educational. Uh, it was so interesting educationally, even though that's my baby, But I meet this his first nurse, and she comes with a little brown wooden box with an angel on it and a heart, and says, we're going to keep this by his bedside. Well, he's not even in an incubator. He's just on a flat heating pad, and they put cellophane wrap over top of it because when they're too little for even the incubator at that point, and their skin can rip. So he I opened the box, and it has crystals in it and a prayer cloth. And she tells me that's what they're for. One is for blood, one is for his lungs because their lungs are very underdeveloped, and his heart. Um, and the prayer cloth was blessed. I can't remember who she said it by, but I still have that today. Yeah. She was an angel. They're all angels. All nurses really are, but there's those creamy nurses, NICU. Fascinating.
So you were blessed with two little babies, and you had this wonderful nurse looking out for you that was an angel in a nurse's uniform.
Yes. Yes.
A metaphysical angel. I mean, how many nurses, especially
Right.
NICU nurses, which are it's very scientific, right?
Very.
I have friends that are NICU nurses and they're not metaphysical. So I don't know how you
Really?
found the one
I know.
nurse that's going to give you a little box and let you keep it next to that baby that has crystals in it, one for the blood, one for the heart, one for the lungs, and a prayer cloth. I mean, you found the only metaphysical nurse at that time, probably in the United States.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously, I've
No,
never met a nurse like her. Yeah.
no. So my question might be, there are people that say that there are angels unaware, Susan, right?
That's true.
And that sometimes people come to us in a physical body as a person or, you know, a nurse or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they're really angels. And sometimes they'll say this at a car accident or something. Somebody came to help me and then never seen again, never found again. I just have to wonder, it gave me goosebumps the first time you told me, and I'm getting them again, if this person was really an earth angel, you know?
I think she was, definitely. She
Mhm.
is, you know, and now that you bring that up, there's those NICUs, like you said, are very clinical, scientific, extra clean. I mean, you have to scrub and scrub before you can even walk in there. But that box was allowed to be in there.
Right. Exactly.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't
I know.
with rocks and a prayer cloth. I mean, that's not, you know, how do you know, they have autoclaves, right? They have like, you know, sanitizers. How do you sanitize that? You know
Right.
what I mean?
right.
Well,
How do you,
and also, how did she know that you would take it and accept it?
yes.
Because a lot of people would say, "What is that? I don't want that." You know,
Yeah.
that's yeah. But you were open to it, and she knew that, or she wouldn't have given it to you. I don't think.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
You know, I never saw her do that with another person and another baby. I never saw another baby with a box or a prayer cloth. Now that I'm thinking back, because you end up living in these NICUs,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and like I said, you scrub. You got to scrub everything head to toe twice. I could imagine what it's like now, you
yeah.
know, but that was 93. So yeah, that, and this wasn't this type of stuff, crystals and all this
Yeah,
metaphysical
it was
stuff wasn't.
less so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. People
that
didn't
is
accept
pretty
it.
amazing. Susan always brings these
I know.
these great points up. I'm like, wow,
I know.
yeah, how was that? That was
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
very
She
true.
was she was a beautiful person.
Oh,
I guess.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And but your son grew and is a man now and very happy person. Yes.
Yeah, he just
Uh-huh.
turned 28. He's
Okay.
Wow.
graduating cybersecurity, bachelor's degree in cybersecurity any
Mhm.
week now.
Good.
So yeah, he's awesome. You know, when he was very young, he had a stomach tube. He does
Sure.
have hearing loss, some hearing loss because of the medication they have to give him for their lungs creates
Mm.
hearing
Oh,
loss.
okay.
But he never knew what good
Yeah.
hearing was from bad hearing. But yeah, no, it took him probably a good 2 years in the hospital at that point, you know, from birth to really get to be
Yeah.
strong enough. You know, the stomach tube was everything because he couldn't swallow, suck, and breathe, so he couldn't do a
Right.
bottle or anything. You know,
Sure. Had to be done differently. Yeah.
right. But
So
yeah,
if you look back on all of these miracles, really, they're all a
mm,
bunch of miracles that have
mhm.
happened to you. What is your biggest takeaway? What are you wanting to give back? Are you wanting to have your
Oh,
own change? Yeah. You
yes.
want to
Oh
have your
yeah.
own change. Yeah. Good.
Everything to me is kind of led me to here, to this
Mhm.
point, because the more after her crystals, all I did was read and research and anything and everything metaphysical. I've always read
Mhm.
cards. Um, this last year, we've all been home, so I've been taking a lot of classes and
Yeah.
really putting a lot of effort and time into it. But my thing for the last few years, once you see how the world is in this kind of split
Yes.
point, and the love has risen, the vibration has risen. A lot of people have understood that, oh, here, there is something going on. You look
Hmm.
at all the people that well, you just interviewed Terry. She had that. They all feel something's coming. That
Yep.
that
Yep.
that's something. There's a reason why
We're
we are
pulled here.
waking up, and love, to me, self love and acceptance is like the first
Beautiful.
step to that.
Absolutely.
And once you
Yeah.
get there, you, all your gifts like just start to open. And I think it's happening faster and faster right now.
It is. It is.
And it's fascinating to watch all of these people. I used to wonder, where are my people?
Boom.
Yep. You got
And
your
now
tribe now. Absolutely. Yeah.
we have a big community,
We
and there's
do.
so many different levels, and everybody's learning their own type of energy healing and how to work with
Mhm.
energy. And it's right here for us to do. They're like pretty much putting it in our lap
Yes.
They are. They
to
are. And you're accepting it. And what I love about what you just said is you might not have been happy to reveal all the bad things or your shadow. But the fact that you've healed that shadow and you say, here I am, this is me. I wouldn't be the same me if I'd done things differently. I accept myself and gone from there. And that is a beautiful thing to be able to share.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That it's hard to figure. Well, for a long years it was very hard for me. How can I even look at yourself in the mirror? How can you look at all the mistakes you made? But all that really went away. And I was searching and searching, and what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why can't I, you know, before the kids and even after? Because I wanted to be, now I want to be a good mom. I want to be,
Sure.
excuse me, I want to make a difference and be significant in their life, especially. And I, all that searching and searching, and I wouldn't forgive myself. Finally, I got in the last few years where I was like, and I don't even like to use that word. It's more just accept yourself, that
Acceptance.
self
Yeah.
love. And it's just, once you clear that right there, that's a big hurdle for a lot
It
of
is.
people. And
It is.
that's the biggest thing I would love for people to get from this or talk today.
Hmm.
No matter
Yep.
what. I think a lot of people suffer from that
They do.
low self esteem and low self confidence because of their past.
Correct. Yep.
And
Yep.
it is very possible. And I see so many, like I said, I've seen so many on your channels. Everybody seems to be waking up and coming through. So I
They
think
are.
there's something that's making that spirit is making sure we all get it.
Absolutely. So before we end, I'd like you to tell us the name of your channel that you're proposing that you'll be doing. You're going to open your own channel, and
Yeah.
you named it a certain thing that I find fascinating. Tell us about it.
Yeah. I was struggling. How do I name this? I don't want it to be about me. It's not about me. It's about the person viewing it
Mhm.
gaining the strength and confidence to understand that they're not crazy or being judged or anything. So I named it UCU, just the initials UCU.
I
So
love
Love
far,
it.
it.
so
Yeah.
far, I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
I know. I when she told me it
Congratulations.
the first time, I thought it was excellent. Just you and C and you, and of course you see yourself,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I
Uh-huh.
really, I really. I mean, it's like something that my spirit is always saying to me. Everybody must learn to love themselves. They must, self love is everything. There's no wrong way here. Every experience is an experience that leads you down your path, or
Hmm.
leads you somewhere. We're all souls and we're all deserving of our own love, you know,
Right. First and foremost,
first and
really.
foremost. But a lot of us weren't taught that. Like, I wasn't taught to love myself. I've never
Oh
even
no.
No.
understood that until the last few years.
It used to be you're selfish if you did that. Oh, why are
Yeah,
you being and it's not true,
no,
you
it's
know.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that to me is the biggest message.
That's awesome.
People really understand that it is not selfish. It is not.
No.
Uh, you're not giving up loving anything else once you love yourself. In fact,
Yep.
you love
First
them more.
Oh, sure. Susan, any final words here for us today?
I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled you're going to start a channel. I'm thrilled you're going to help people. I think your story is amazing. Thank you for sharing it with us today. I'm glad that you didn't join your nanny up there and that you decided to stay down here. Obviously, you had two big reasons that you needed to come back. It's almost as if they didn't give you a choice, right? Some people say, I had a choice. For you, it was like as soon as you knew, oh, there's my nanny. I am in the wrong place. And then boom.
I really am on the wrong street. Yeah.
Yeah, the wrong street. And then when you were hugging the ceiling, you were like, "Oh snap, that's me!" Boom. It's like, I love it. I love that. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's a great story.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's been interesting.
Yes, and help.
Yep. Well, we wish you well with your channel. Know that we are here to support you, and come back and talk to us anytime, or we'll come to your channel, whatever you like. Yes, absolutely. We wish you well, and we know that it will be more healing and more healing for other people. And we send you our blessings.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.